Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're going to be talking about a tank that I truly used to love, and it used to be very good at what it did. Now the Grill 15 is a really former shadow of itself, and I would not recommend this tank in 2024 at all. In terms of stats, this tank does look very good. For example, the DPM is 3,500, which is, at the upper echelons of TDs. So it's just fourth in line in terms of DPM. On top of that, the penetration is very good. You have, standard 300, which is, again, very good, even without the extra penetration on top. Now, the damage is probably on the worst side at 580. This is a big problem that the Grill does have. 580 alpha is really bad when you sort of look at this tank and you get the overall picture. But let's look at the other stats first and come back to that, right? Now you have gun handling, superb. Aim time and dispersion is definitely the best in terms of TDs in the whole game. That is very good, right? However, you do have only 4 degrees of gun depression, which is quite annoying. And the mobility is also very good at 50 kilometers forward. It's the fastest TD in game going, at 50 kilometers forward. One of the faster ones. On top of that, you have very good effective horsepower per ton. Again, one of the best among TDs when it comes to it, right? And it's very good. What can I say when it comes to the mobility? This tank is very good. Now, one problem it does have is concealment. It has one of the worst, or, at the lower end of TDs when it comes to concealment, which is a big problem. So what do we have? We have a tank with low alpha, but very good gun handling, but very good mobility on top of it. Do we need a TD with insane mobility? I really don't think so. This is not a tank that really needs mobility because, you're a second, maybe third line tank, right? Why on earth do you need insane mobility if you're at the very back? It really doesn't make sense. You're pretty much behind your whole team, so you don't need that 50 kilometers forward. On top of that, do you really need that sort of DPM when you're, again, on the second or third line without good alpha? Just think about it. A lot of these, like Object 263, for example, the Minotauro, and tanks like that, or like the Foch, can have this sort of alpha. Why? Because they're frontline tanks, and they are going to engage the enemy quite often. Now, as a Grill, are you really going to be able to use your DPM all the time from the third line? That is going to be practically impossible to do. So your mobility, even though it's really good, is practically useless. And your DPM is technically practically also useless. And unless you're pretty much fixated at the enemy and shooting him constantly, right? In that regard, maybe you can use your DPM. But from afar, when someone goes, is passing through a corridor, through a city map, you have one shot. You get that shot, and then you're not going to be able to effectively use your DPM on that tank, right? So in that regard, I feel like the DPM and the mobility are pretty much useless. And, not useless, of course, they have their use, but they're not as efficient and not as good as they are good looking on paper. Now, the only thing I would say this tank is really insane at is the gun handling. The gun handling on this thing is superb, but then again, the low alpha makes it quite hard to actually rack up some damage in this thing. So that's my theory on the Grill. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and with that, Happy is out, and I'll definitely see you guys next time. Bye-bye.